The first thing you're going to want to do is go ahead and connect your iPhone 3GS. And if iTunes opens up, just go ahead and close that. You won't need it. And if you're on the Mac, you want to go ahead and go to your Applications folder and look for a program called Image Capture. There's a number of different ways to do this, but Image Capture is already on your Mac, so you might as well just use that one. I find it a lot easier to deal with than iPhoto. I normally go ahead and put these in a different folder, so I'm going to go ahead and just make a new folder. So I'll select Other. I'll select my desktop, New Folder, go ahead and type in a new name, and click Create. And at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and click Download Some. And I'll go ahead and select a couple of movies here. And it's going to go ahead and just transfer a couple of those. Go ahead and close Image Capture. And you're pretty much all set. Now you've got all your videos already transferred. You can unplug your iPhone and you're ready for the next step. Windows users actually have it a little bit easier. So here in Vista, I'm just going to go ahead and connect my iPod. And let it connect. Now this is assuming that you've got iTunes loaded on your Windows machine. I'm going to go ahead and close iTunes. And if you double click on your computer, you're going to see your iPhone already mounts. If you double click on your iPhone, you're going to get your internal storage. And then from here, you're going to see all of your material. Go ahead and just copy those movies over to your folder. On Windows, there's no extra app. You can just access the iPhone directly. Let's go ahead and launch Premiere Pro. So when the welcome screen comes up in CS4, go ahead and click New Project. Let's go ahead and just create our project on the desktop. And the first thing we're going to do is go to the Mobile and Devices folder, and in there you'll see a preset that's already set up for iPod. This already has a lot of the settings that I need on it, so I'm going to go ahead and click that. I'm going to go ahead to the Generals tab. We need to fix our time base to 30 frames a second. Make sure we're at 640/480, which we are, no fields, and set the sample audio rate to 44.1. Now for video previews down here, this is just really more for working on the timeline. You can choose whatever codec you want. You either on the Mac, you're either going to choose QuickTime or the Adobe iFrame MPEG codec, which is what we're going to use, which is what I use. It's a very high quality, great working codec for the timeline. But if you want to use QuickTime, that's fine too. You can choose any QuickTime preset that you want. Again, this is just for working. It has nothing to do with export. We're going to get to that a little bit later. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the Adobe iFrame only codec. Windows users will have a choice of using AVI as well. So now I'm going to go ahead and just save my preset. So I'll have this preset the next time I want to edit my iPhone at 3GS video. And if you want to go ahead and put a description, you can do that. So you can just put, 640/480, whatever note you want to go ahead and jot down. And click OK. And you'll notice it created us a custom preset. Again, it'll be there for the next time we need it. And I'm going to go ahead and just type a sequence name. And Premiere opens up and we're ready to edit. The next step is to go ahead and import your video. So we're going to go to File, Import. I'm going to go back out to my desktop and I see my iPhone 3GS folder. And I'm just going to select all of these movies. You could also just select the folder if you want. And all my movies come right in. Now there's a couple things that I want to go ahead and point out to you. The first thing you should notice is when you double click on your movie, it'll just come up in the source window here. You can go ahead and hit play. And it's going to play in real time, no problem. Now you're going to be able to then take your video if you want. Go ahead and set your trim marks here. So go ahead and set your in and out. If that's not the video that you want, go ahead and just double click. It'll show you a thumbnail up here. If you just single click, you'll get a thumbnail loaded here. If you find the one you want, you can double click to go ahead and load it in the source window there. And as I said before, you can go ahead and just set your trim markers wherever wherever you want them. So maybe I'll set it about right here when the lighting was a little better. That looks good. And then just drag and drop down to the timeline. The reason you have a yellow line instead of, say, no line, for example, which a lot of you might be used to, is that there isn't a preset already made by Adobe for the iPhone. We had to make it. So that's pretty much a normal behavior that you would see on the timeline. Now let's go ahead and just add the rest of our clips on there. And I'm just going to quickly just add these to my timeline. I'm going to shift select and just drag these over here. And I'll go ahead and grab my remaining piece of video and drag it to the timeline. And as you can see, I've got all my video on my timeline and it looks just great. Let's say you want to go ahead and add a quick title. All you have to do is go to Title, New Title. I'll just click a still. I'm going to go ahead and just show you how to import a logo. So I'm going to go to my title window and go to my logo setting, Insert Logo. And I'll go back out to my desktop, and I happen to have the iPhone 3GS logo. And here it is on my desktop. Now, a couple cool things about the titler, if you didn't know this, is you can go in and you can start working with any of these styles that are in here. You can just select your graphic and select a style like so. And I'm going to go ahead and just select some text. And you can just go ahead and select whatever style you want to. And if you want to do a matching style, just go ahead and select that. That looks fine. And there's your style. Now, another thing you can do if you want to do some interesting animations, I'm going to go ahead and just leave this first title like this. I'm going to close the titler down. I'm going to grab my first title and I'm going to drag it right over here. And you'll notice, even though it's redlined down here, let me zoom in that with the plus key, it'll still play in real time. I'm going to go ahead and make a second title. So new title, default still. Type in some text. There we go. Now, what you can do with that is go ahead and drag your second title out. That looks great. Again, they'll both play in real time. If you want to animate these for just sort of an interesting opener really quick, go up to your effects controls. I'll click on my first title, and I'll just start working with some of the animations. So I'll click on the opacity. I'll bring it down to 0. And I'll bring that out just a touch, and then go ahead and bring that up. And again, you'll notice if I bring that playhead back, it'll just go ahead and fade that in. Maybe that's a little too quick. I'll bring it in again and hit play. And why don't we go ahead and just play with the rotation. Maybe like so. And I'll wind this back and I'll just take the rotation back. I'll go ahead and add a keyframe for rotation and I'll bring that back. There we go. And if you want to do a little bit more exaggerated keyframe, you can go ahead and do that. There you go. And let's go ahead and make that CS4 match that. So I'll go ahead and put this back out here. I'll click on my second title. Go to motion. Again, I'll just affect my rotation there just a touch. And I'm going to click on rotation and my opacity. And I'm going to take my opacity of the CS4 all the way down. And I'll make the rotation go the other way. And then animate. And there you go. Just a real quick way to animate just using the built-in titler.